Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Google Pixel 9 and see how this particular phone holds up in 2025. Now, this phone just came out. It's really not that old of a device, so that is one of those things to keep in mind. If you're planning on going through and picking up a phone, this thing is a fairly new phone, right? So there's not really that much to complain about here. So I think that is kind of one of the biggest things to keep in mind here, that this phone is still going to be a very good killer phone in a lot of ways. Even though it's not a perfect phone, it still is a very, very good device. So if you want to go ahead and pick up this phone and maybe some other phones that I'd recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of the Google Pixel 9. This phone originally came out back in 2024. So like I said, it's not really that old of a phone. It's barely even a year old now as of this point. But with something like a Google Pixel 9, this type of phone for the most part is still giving you a very good type of layout. It's giving you a pretty large 6.3-inch OLED display. It's not the biggest size panel of all time, but it is a good type of panel, and I think it looks pretty good. It's 120 Hz, gets up to 2700 nits of peak brightness, which is crazy, for this type of phone. And that right there, I think, is actually a really good type of layout here, right? 120 Hz, 6.3 inches. It's 2700 nits. I mean, it's a very good type of panel when it comes down to that side. And if you're trying to go through and pick up a phone, that right there is going to be a really big and really nice advantage for this type of device when it comes down to it. Compared to some other types of devices, like an iPhone 16, this phone has a way better display than something like an iPhone 16. So that right there, I think, is another one of those really, really big things to keep in mind there. Now, you're still getting a USB Type-C port on this thing. I always have to say that. On the sides, flat sides, nothing crazy. On the back side, you are getting this frosted glass back. So it is really nice to be able to get these frosted glass backs. Those are still going to hold up very, very well, at least from the exterior. So I think that right there is a really nice thing. You are getting wireless charging and reverse wireless charging inside of this device, which I think is another really nice thing to have. Like I said before, I love having that type of capability, and you're essentially going to be able to get that type of capability when it comes down to that side. Now, on top of that, when it kind of comes down to some other areas, when you kind of take a look at this type of device, you have to remember that when you are kind of looking at the Pixel 9, from a price tag standpoint, this device has also gone down in value quite a bit. So when it first came out, right, it was, good, it was a good price. But now these things have basically gone down quite a bit. So that right there is another really nice thing going on for this type of phone. It doesn't cost what it used to cost, right? This phone has gone down to about $590 in the used market on Amazon. So that right there is a really big advantage here. Like I said before, being able to go through and pick up a phone that has already gone down in value this much is something that is really, really cool. We are getting ready for the next Pixels to come out next month. So these phones are probably going to come down in price even more when that happens. So that right there is going to be another really cool thing going on for this type of device when it comes down to it from that side. So when you look at the Pixel 9 overall, there's not really that much to complain about here. I think it is an excellent phone pretty much through and through. But keep in mind, if you are trying to go through and pick up the latest and greatest, you do have the Pixel 9 Pro right around the corner. That is going to be giving you a little bit of a better type of layout. Now, when it comes down to the camera inside of the Google Pixel 9, another very important thing to keep in mind here for the most part within this type of phone is that you are essentially going to be able to get a dual camera setup on the backside. So it's going to be a 50 megapixel wide and then a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera. So this type of camera for the most part, there's not really going to be anything like, it's going to be a good camera. You're getting 4K 60 on the front and the back. So it is going to be a good camera from that layout. It's going to be above average, but for it to be like an amazingly great camera, you would probably have to look at something like a Samsung Galaxy S24, a Samsung Galaxy S25, or an S24, or a iPhone 16 Pro, right? Phones that have triple camera setups, those ones are going to be giving you probably overall a better type of layout, but the Galaxy S25 is probably its closest competitor because it's more similar in terms of use, like brand new prices. So that type of device, definitely in my personal opinion, is probably going to be one of those big things to keep in mind here. Because as far as I can tell, if you're looking at a device, something like a Google Pixel 9's camera is still going to be good and it's going to be great. Like, it's going to give you a really good layout. The only issue that I'm experiencing inside of something like a Google Pixel 9 is the lack of a dedicated telephoto lens. and then no 8K capability. A majority of phones now do, they do give you telephoto lenses and they do give you 8K, at least on the Android side, like on the Samsung side. So it would be nice to have that. Otherwise though, I think this phone is still, a very good device. I think it still is going to hold up very well. And the cameras are still pretty solid when it comes down to it from that side as well. So from that side too, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now, on top of that, another important thing to keep in mind here too is that with the Samsung Galaxy, S25 and the iPhone 16 Pro and the Google Pixel 9s, these phones are like such a brand new phones that the software experience that you're going to be getting from them is basically going to be lasting for forever. Like these phones are going to be lasting for a very long amount of time. And that right there is going to be one of the biggest advantages here inside of this type of device. Like you're going to be able to go through and pick up something like a Google Pixel 9 and be able to get a phone that's going to be supported with software for a long period of time. So that right there is going to be an awesome advantage. And I love being able to go through and buy a device that is going to be giving me software updates for, a longer period of time than me just buying it. The last thing you want to do is go and buy a device and have it already outdated with software by the time you buy it, or only it giving you like a year or two of software support. The Pixel 9, you don't really have to worry about that. The Pixel 9 is going to be supported with software for years from now. So that right there is going to be another really big advantage for this type of phone as well. And finally, when it comes down to the performance of this phone, this type of phone is going to be giving you that Google Tensor G4 chipset inside with 12 gigabytes of RAM. So this phone from that particular situation is going to be giving you a really good type of performance inside of it. And that is another big advantage for these types of devices. Like I said before, being able to go through and pick up devices that are going to be giving you like this good of a layout, I think it's going to be something that's going to be great, right? It's a great performing phone. It still is going to look great and everything like that. The only issue for the most part that you're probably going to experience though, is that compared to some of these Snapdragon chipsets, those Snapdragon chipsets are going to be giving you probably a better type of layout and just a faster type of phone overall than something like these, Tensor chipsets. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but that again is going to be one of those things that you're going to have to keep in mind there. So I think if you're going to go through and pick up a device, that could be one little area that might end up being a little annoying for some people, but it really just depends on which way you're going to kind of think about it. So what I can tell you is that in my personal opinion, I do think for the most part, when you take a look at something like, a Google Pixel 9 in this example, right? This is a very good device, right? I think it's an excellent device to go and pick up. And if you're in the market and you want to go and pick up a phone, this thing's a very good option. With that being said, I do think for the most part, if you are about to go through and, pick up a different type of device, it might make more sense to go and buy something maybe like a, Samsung Galaxy S25 if you want a faster phone, or if you want, some other type of device for the most part. Like there are lots of options out there. So I would think for the most part, if you are about to go there and pick up a device, there are lots of options. There's a lot of cool different devices out there. But, I definitely do think if you're in the market, Pixel 9 is an excellent phone, but consider other devices like a, Google Pixel, 9 Pro XL or 9 Pro or Samsung Galaxy S25. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.